It's taken me a year to get to review this game, but by goodness I'm going to do it, because Super Crazy Rhythm Castle deserves love and attention, because it's a fantastic, moorish, addictive, difficult and challenging rhythm action game that feels entirely unique in the genre, because it's not just a rhythm action game. And there's a Steam review that I think calls this out perfectly well, as it describes the game as playing Guitar Hero whilst also making your dinner. And it's that pat your head, rub your tummy kind of analogy, because rhythm action is only part of the gameplay element here. It's always dropped into a level where you're having to use the rhythm elements to clear or complete some kind of puzzle or task in the room and the setting that you're in. So it could be that you use the rhythm action elements to power up some guns that can then shoot through things, or power some ingredients to pop out of various different cupboards and drawers so that you can then go and chuck them down the cooking chute, for example. It could be that you're using them to power up equipment so that a laser blaster can go and cut through iron, or a chainsaw can then cut through wood. It could be that there's various different vines coming out of the walls that's going to clog up, say, some cogs or something from opening up the door to escape. And so you need to leave the rhythm action element and get out your special bagpipes and kind of tune them away so that they crawl back to where they came from. There are so many different variants and elements, and it's one of the key boons of this game. Each level plays uniquely because you're always doing this rhythm action element to complete another task, and that task constantly changes and plays out very differently. There's almost an element of a puzzle to this game too, because the game doesn't always explicitly tell you what it is that you need to do, and certainly not the best methods in order to get 3 stars for each level, which is one of the achievements / trophies that you'll be aiming for if you're very target driven for this type of game. And you want to be, because as you complete levels you unlock the fantastic varied soundtrack, which you can then take into a much more traditional rhythm action area where you can then earn more trophies from it, but then unlock various different Konami game theme songs to take into a secret game room, which then gives you like a unique hardcore rhythm action experience in there. It constantly layers all of these weird and wonderful fantastical ideas that just creates a chaotic, funny, engaging game that you can't put down, even if it's a challenge and it's making you scream at it sometimes, going, come on, give me a break. The other thing about this is that it's totally playable in solo mode, 2-player, 3 or 4-player. And whilst it was quite difficult to play this game in solo mode on launch, which was why I initially parked it, because I had no friends and my life was very chaotic, so I could never actually get anyone together to play this type of game. They, over the course of several patches, kind of adjusted the difficulty so that solo playing in this game now is still a challenge, but ultimately very doable. And you can do that on one of 2 difficulties. Each character that you choose when they go to the rhythm action element will have a regular mode, which contains 3 lanes of notes, or a pro mode that contains 4. And you pick your poison and then see whether or not you can complete the various different levels, meeting a 1, 2 or 3 star output, which then unlocks the cassette tape of that song that you can then take into the standard rhythm action mode. There is such a variety of different music in this game too, and it's an original soundtrack, and one of the other big selling points of this is just how fantastic it is. There's J-pop, there's heavy metal, there's dance and pop and disco, there's some cinematic like big battle orchestrations, there's a slinky stealth song, there's some stuff that goes back to like retro jazzy type stuff too. There is so much variation in here. It's one of the most diverse soundtracks that I've seen just in a game in general, never mind a rhythm action one. And all of them are quite catchy, and you'll want to play them back time and time and time again as you're trying to get perfection as you play for a total full combo to unlock all of those additional Konami game songs as well in the background. Alongside all of this, The game is exceptionally colourful. It's got a kooky and funny story element to it, with a crazed king of the castle who is not taking himself very seriously, but is kind of Saturday morning cartoon, but as if it was wanting to be some kind of sassy drag artist. It's kind of how I describe the main villain that you're trying to chase around. He's too lazy to really do anything, so he just floats around inside a TV, beaming from his chamber. But there's all kinds of other weird and wacky characters that pop up along the way, and I really like the visual stylings, the weird, impossible puzzleness of the castle layouts, and the fact that that in itself is a puzzle that you need to sort out before you can get to some of the levels to enjoy them. That said, there are a couple of levels that slightly outstay their welcome. Some levels go up to 15 minutes in length because they go over multiple rooms, doing recharging and repowering of the same types of weapons to try and deal with the same issues over again. And there's like these creatures that will come out of the woodwork, and when they touch you, you then have to kind of button mash something to stop yourself from being stunned. And sometimes it throws a few too many at you, and you're thinking, actually this is starting to get annoying and get in the way. But those very tiny glimpses of frustration, the few and far between little dinks in what is an absolutely shining piece of armour. And if you have any interest in a rhythm action game, but you don't think purely pressing buttons to the rhythm of music would sustain your interest and enjoyment for like a full 12-15 hour campaign, plus then playing all of that music outside of it afterwards for high score challenges and unlocking secret songs, Super Crazy Rhythm Castle will be the game to really test that theory for you, because there is so much more beyond the rhythm elements, but the rhythm elements themselves are fantastic too. Cannot recommend this enough. It's also, at the time of recording, I believe, coming up for the Steam and Christmas sales, so I bet it will be heavily discounted on its 1 year anniversary. So, I really recommend taking a punt on this game. It is super, it is crazy, and there's definitely a rhythm castle in there. Does what it says on the tin and does it exceptionally well. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.